This is astrologer Dikki Mullen coming to you from downtown Orlando, Florida with star date, astrology for the day. Today is Tuesday, the 19th of July, 2016, and we have a full moon as well as a Mercury-Saturn trine today. The full moon is in Capricorn. The moon is always full in the zodiac sign across from where the sun is. So since the sun's in Cancer, just looking across the zodiac, it's easy to see which sign the full moon is in if you're still just learning astrology. The full moon will be at 28 degrees Capricorn, and anyone who has planets in your birth chart at 28 degrees of the cardinal signs will feel its influence. The cardinal signs are Cancer, Capricorn, as well as Aries and Libra. 6:56 p.m. is the exact time of the full moon. Just as the sun sets, the full moon will be rising here on the East Coast. And if the sky is clear, it should be absolutely radiant and beautiful. Early in the day, the influence of the Mercury-Saturn trine is excellent for important communication, business travel, business-related decisions of any type, financial situations, whether to change jobs, begin a business. The Mercury-Saturn trine is a thumbs up for looking into that. Of course, one's own complete natal birth chart has a bearing on the specifics. Full moons are given names in different traditions, the Native American but also European spiritual traditions. And this full moon in July, I have a beautiful illustration of a young buck or deer for you to look at, because this is often called the full buck moon, because it's a time when the first little velvety antlers appear after the deer have shed their antlers earlier on in the springtime. It's also the mead moon because it's a time when honey and different fruits were brewed to create and begin to age mead so that it would be available to have later on in the year for Thanksgiving and other parties. And also it's called the thunder moon and the strong sun moon, with a nod to the weather. Famous people born today, July 19th of 2016, include Dr. Charles Mayo, one of the famous surgeons who with his brother founded the Mayo Clinic. We have a branch of it here in Florida. And then also A.J. Cronin, the British novelist. And the infamous Lizzie Borden were born today. But someone who's very interesting, born on July 19th in the news, is the opera singer Florence Foster Jenkins. She's the subject of a film just being released starring Meryl Streep and bringing Florence back to life. She died in the 1940s, was born in the 1860s, and her horoscope is essentially coming alive again now in the year 2016. I'm especially interested in the topic of when does the horoscope die, because the very first national article I ever sold long ago was when Patty Hearst was in the news, having been kidnapped and bank robbing and that type of thing. And the horoscope of her famous grandfather, William Randolph Hearst, reflected everything that Patty was doing, even though he had long since passed away. And I may do this as the topic for an astrology class I'm going to be teaching in Jacksonville in October. But at any rate, Florence Foster Jenkins was famous for having such a terrible voice as a soprano. And she actually sold out Carnegie Hall, booked it on her own, quite a feat, with people wanting to hear her in person because she would sing these wonderful classic opera pieces off key and just in an ear-splitting way. So I just think it's kind of intriguing that on her birthday week, the film starring her life with Meryl Streep playing Florence Foster Jenkins is being released. With the Capricorn moon today, our color is all shades of pinkish red garnet shades. Garnets, of course, have the range from a deep pink to a bright red, and that's the color of the day. The garnet is also the stone or crystal of the day. I have a couple of mine on here as pinky finger rings. The garnet is related to friendship and also to virtue and Victorian values. It's a little stuffy for today's world in some ways, but it's still a wonderful crystal in living a bright and beautiful life. The crystals, of course, emit energy, electrical charges. Think of the way the quartz crystal gives us computers and all sorts of other wonderful technologies. And it's easy to understand how the idea of crystals and gems, which have always had a link, by the way, with the zodiac signs and planets going way back, can have an actual physical strength or vitality. Our goddess today, the spiritual leader of July 19th, is the Lithuanian goddess Laima, L-A-I-M-A. She's an early folk goddess of fate, a blessed destiny. She would often manifest as a swan, as a reminder of the transformative qualities of pure love. Lamia and the festival of today relate to floral wreaths made of beautiful summer flowers to wear in the hair or place on the door. And if you want to put together, create a wreath for either your head or your door, that's supposed to, especially if you include a few roses, invoke the favor of the goddess of the day. Today's Sabian symbol, I'm going to use the one for the moon. The full moon at 28 degrees Capricorn is a bird sanctuary. Interesting that Lamia's symbol is the swan, too. The bird sanctuary, or aviary, it actually says aviary, represents community, dwelling on the common good, and the uses of resources in the very best way. Very apropos with the mood of the Capricorn moon. The moon always shows the flow of daily life, and almanacs, one of the first books that people would have in every home, all are based around the moon in many, many ways. So think of the full moon, watch how it affects the tides, weather, and human behavior. Check to see where the 28th degree of Capricorn falls in your own birth chart, and it's kind of like a beacon of light will be shining on that part of your horoscope. This is astrologer Dikki Mullen in Orlando, Florida, wishing you a wonderful Tuesday of the full moon, July 19th of 2016. I have YouTube videos up with different topics about astrology and the paranormal for you to enjoy until tomorrow morning's star date. And then also the website Sky Maiden Musings has an in-depth write-up with more information about this full moon of the sunshine and thunder and the young bucks with the new horns, and also mead.